Hey, hi, this is Melanie with Red Clover Reader. And at Red Clover Reader, we are creating a diverse and value-based digital library while helping independent authors reach a wider audience. So you actually go by Brian, that's right. G. Brian Benson, that's your author name?
Yes, it's my legal name.
Okay.
Yes.
Legal name, that's good to put it on your books.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really, it's interesting. I just assumed that I would. I mean, all my legal papers are that, and Brian Benson website was already taken, so I just went with the whole G. Brian Benson thing.
Well, perfect. I think it has a nice ring to it.
Thank you.
And so you are the author of currently 2 children's books, Steve the Alien and Lucy and Chester's Amazing Adventure.
Yes.
So, Brian, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into writing kids' books?
Sure. In a nutshell, I left my family business about 10 years ago into the unknown. I really had no idea what I was going to do with my life. I didn't know that I had a lot of creativity inside of me. And that at the very tail end of being at the business, we had a golf center in Oregon, driving range, retail store, and a 9-hole par 3 course.
Okay,
yeah, no, I mean, it wasn't a bad place. It was a lot of work being in charge, but I just felt like I stopped growing there. And so I told my dad that I wanted to leave, even though I really didn't know what I wanted to do. And he was fine, but I ended up having to stay a year because we decided to sell it and go through that whole process. And so that last year, I sat down one day because I was feeling really out of balance, and I wrote down 5 things that I felt would help keep me in balance at that point in my life, and it helped. And my intuition said, expand the list and write a book. I'd never really written anything before, but I wrote this little self-help book, and it ended up winning a couple of awards, and it just pointed me in this whole new direction. And as I worked on my fear of overcoming public speaking and such to, be able to market it and share its messages and stuff, I just started gaining more confidence. And in the children's books, they came about, I kind of did some writing 15 years ago just for myself, and I didn't plan on doing anything with any of it, but I just kind of wrote these rhyming children's stories as kind of almost a mental exercise, because it's like putting a puzzle together. And a few years ago, I just, I remembered I had them, and I decided, what the heck, let's do it. And so actually, Steve the Alien, I finished in 2007. But here's the story. I started it in 2004. I got stuck. I finished it in 2007. I met some people who had this company that made moving picture apps for children's books, and I signed a contract for them to do 5 stories of mine. And halfway through, it was looking amazing. I was really excited, and this is probably about 2010. They ran out of money, and so it went kerplats, and I asked to be released out of my contract after about a year. And so in 2016, I just decided, you know what? It's time to try to bring Steve the Alien to life. And so I just went on Craigslist, looked for an illustrator. I had 40 people from around the world contact me, all really talented. And I ended up choosing someone who actually lives here in LA with me, and Paul Hernandez. And I self-published it. And it was a really cool experience, and a lot of fun to breathe life into him.
Then how did Lucy's Adventures, Lucy and Chester, how did that come into being?
This is kind of embarrassing, but I'll share the story. That basis for Lucy and Chester was actually a poem I wrote for a former girlfriend about 8 years ago, called, I think, The Places We'll Go, or something like that. And so I kept pretty much all of the little places that she went in her dreams when she falls asleep. I added a few, I took out a few, and I made it into a little empowering children's book for little girls.
Okay. And so sharing kind of an empowering message is something that is important to you.
Yeah, I love to create positive media. I've written 3 self-help books. I have another one coming out this November. And, whether it's that or the children's books, I've written a couple short films that I acted in that have positive messages that have done well at film festivals. I did a TEDx talk a few years back. So I really love to create positive media. You know, just we all need a little lift, you know, and whether it's an adult or a child. And so yeah, it's kind of I just, you know, didn't expect to be doing any of this, and I just continued to listen to my intuition, and one thing led to another, and you know, something happened, and then another idea would come, and I would say yes to it, and then just kept expanding.
Okay.
Yeah.
So can you talk a little bit about what it was like to work with your illustrator?
Sure. I was really lucky. He's a very talented guy, and he also had some good ideas, but he also was willing to listen to my ideas since I wrote it, and I feel like I'm a pretty creative person too. We had a few times where, you know, we never had any arguments or anything like that, but it's just, you know, when two creative people who have really strong, oh, it needs to be this or this, you know, we worked it out, and it's always been great. And we've done a couple other projects together too. So I feel like I've gained a friend. And, you know, for me, I think the most important part is be true to, you know, how you see it and you visualize it in your head. And Paul allowed me to do that, which I'm very grateful for. But I also, you know, you got to have a little bit of give and take, and be open to hearing what somebody else might have to offer, because they're talented as well. And so I think we really did a great job together.
I noticed that Steve the Alien looked like he made a little appearance in Lucy and Chester's adventure. Amazing.
Yes, you caught that. Awesome. Yeah. Yeah, Lucy and Chester, one of the stops they made in her dreams was to Mars, and he's poking his head around a spaceship there. So yes, absolutely.
Cool. So I think that's something that a lot of self-published authors find, is that, you know, self-publishing kind of gives them the freedom to see their vision, you know, turn out the way they envision it, they hope for.
Yep.
And I think that's something that it's really special, you know, it's a pretty neat thing.
Thank you. Yeah, I agree. And yeah, I've never had an opportunity. I've published with my self-help books with outside publishers, but never with a children's book situation. And you know, I welcome that, but yet it makes me a little nervous, because I feel like I'm good at what I do, and it's like, oh, you're killing me. You know what I mean? But it's all about just getting it out there one way or another. And so that's the main thing, you know, and so I'm glad. It's been a really cool experience for me. And in addition to the other stuff I've done, it's kind of made people look at me in a little different way. And of course, I'm sure, you know, you hear this and such, that, you know, everybody says, oh, I've always wanted to write a children's book, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, go do it, you know. I mean, you just gotta want to do it.
Are you working on anything new for kids right now?
I recently wrote a little rhyming story called The Joys of Reading. And I haven't put illustrations to it yet, but it's a lot of fun. I mean, if we had time, I'd be happy to read it. But, you know, other than that, I'm working on the self-help book and getting ready for that. And I've got a few videos of some spoken word pieces that I've put together that I'm getting ready to release.
Great. Well, that's exciting.
Thank you. And I'm working on a Steve the Alien sequel.
Oh, cool. So maybe we get to see if he actually wins the treasure hunt or scavenger hunt.
Yes. Well, yes, he definitely, he got the stuff that he needed from Earth, but yeah, I kind of left the other part unknown. However, this next time he comes back, not for a scavenger hunt, but to pick up Zeke, his little Earth friend, to take him back for space show and tell in his classroom.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so it'll be set on his planet.
All right. Well, we will definitely look forward to seeing that, and we encourage our readers to check out Steve the Alien on the platform and Lucy and Chester's Amazing Adventures. They're very colorfully illustrated and just really cheerful rhyming stories.
Thank you.
Brian, can you share, before we conclude, do you mind sharing some tips either for young developing readers who might be checking out your work on the platform, or people who are thinking about doing something creative, you know, and might need that a little push or something like that, or just any general advice would be
well
great.
first and foremost, I want everybody to know that they're perfectly fine and well and amazing just the way they are and with what they have to work with, you know, because I really feel like once we can accept ourselves and love ourselves, everything else falls into place. So, you know, that's kind of my main message, I suppose. But as far as, you know, being creative and any advice I would have for people in that regard, I've said, you know, just try it. Just do something, do anything, whether it's drawing or, you know, writing a story. I mean, my stories were, if you look at some of the early ones, they were pretty bad. But you just have to start somewhere. And just because they're potentially rough at the beginning doesn't mean they're going to be rough in a year or in 2 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So just do it. I think being creative is so important for us as human beings. It just I don't know. It just art makes things better and life more fulfilling and joyful. And so we need artists, we need authors, we need writers, we need, you know, people who are creative in their own special way. So, you know, musicians, you name it.
Great. Well, thanks for sharing. That's some really beautiful sentiments, Ryan. Really appreciate that. We appreciate your involvement in Red Clover Reader, and we look forward to chatting with you in the future about the sequel to Steve the Alien and joy of reading. And I'd love to see something about self-acceptance. I mean, that's such a great, you know, that's such an important message. So
I agree. I have that dialed in the self-help book realm, but I haven't worked on that yet for a children's book. But that's a good idea.
Start dialing it into the children's literature. Wow.
Thank you.
All right, great. Yeah, thanks so much, Steve, for joining us tonight. This has been a Red Clover Reader Hangout. This is Melanie. Today we're talking with Brian Benson, who's the author of Steve the Alien and Lucy and Chester's Amazing Adventures. So thanks for your time tonight.
My pleasure.
And we will talk to you soon.
Have a great night.
Okay, thanks so much.